The Bank of Canada does another jumbo 50 basis point drop to the overnight lending rate at a really interesting time in the real estate market where market sentiment slowly feels like it's turning for the better, and there's some really big mortgage changes coming affecting affordability in the next couple days. So we're going to talk about what they did and how that's going to affect the Toronto real estate market moving into 2025. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I did a video, but obviously there's some big things happening in the Toronto real estate market. So I figured I'd pop on here, give you all my take. So if you're liking this content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I got some fun video ideas coming up. Obviously the new mortgage rule changes, it's happening in a few days. I'm going to do a full breakdown of that. And also I'm going to take you through some of my clients' purchases, some of my personal purchases here in the next coming weeks. So if you don't want to miss those videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And as always, if you ever want to get in touch with me, you can go to the first link down in the description below. Now, with that being said, let's get into it. So as I mentioned earlier, the Bank of Canada dropped the overnight lending rate another 50 basis points today, and that is their 5th consecutive rate cut. Like since 2022, things have been volatile. They have spiked these interest rates up, and then now they're coming crashing down, and everybody is kind of just like looking around, wondering what the heck's happening. And it's showing up in the sales volume the last couple of years. You know, when uncertainty is happening, people, you know, have a lack of making decisions. And we've seen that in the sales volume. More people are just buying and selling if they need to versus just, you know, transacting on investment purposes and all that good stuff. But now we're getting to the point where interest rates are really starting to come down. Like, to the point where it's grabbing some people's attention. And we've noticed that in October, they dropped the interest rate another 0.5%. And we saw a little bit of a spike in the market sales volume in November because of it. And if you're following your favorite realtor on Instagram, or if you're following the news headlines, everyone's talking about, you know, how sales volume is up and the market's back and it's rip roaring. And you know, did we see a spike in activity? Yes. You know, most of the statistics that they're looking at really are just the, you know, year over year statistics where they're comparing, you know, November this year to November last year and the year before. And the last couple of years were absolutely abysmal in November. So, you know, is that a super significant piece of data? Not really, but I will say it does show that more buyers are starting to feel confident in making decisions. I think a lot of people are getting to the point where they feel like, okay, you know, rates are coming down. I want to beat everybody to the rush. And I think that those buyers are starting to return to the market slowly. Interestingly enough, while everyone was talking about how the sales volume, the amount of transactions increased, nobody really mentioned anything about how the average price of every property category actually dropped last month for freeholds, for condos, everything. And it wasn't a significant drop, honestly, more seasonal, because as we get into November, December, we typically do see the average sales price drop every single year. And I will say that the best deals that I always get for my clients happen to be in November and December. It's where, you know, a lot of people have been on the market. Maybe they hopped on the market at the start of the fall market in September or October. They've been sitting on the market for an extended period of time. Now here we are getting into the holidays where, you know, they're realizing that their asking price is maybe not what they're actually going to get. They're in a position where maybe they need to actually sell the property, and, you know, they're forced to take an offer that is maybe a little bit lower. And sure enough, it is reflected in the data. I will say too, the last 2 transactions that I did was a condo in an A++ building downtown where we were able to negotiate over $50,000 off of asking price. And that's at a $700,000 price point. And then a multifamily 4-plex for right around $1 million. And we were actually able to negotiate over $100,000 off of that. So in both cases, both properties spent an extended period of time on the market, and they were just in a position where they needed to sell. We were there at the right time. I can't preach this enough. Every single year I come on here, I talk about how November, December is the time to pick up a deal, but here we are heading into a rate cut. And then also we've got some really big mortgage changes happening in the next couple days, both which are massively going to affect affordability. And like I said earlier, I'm going to do a full video on the new mortgage changes and how that's going to affect you, especially first-time home buyers. It's going to be a really valuable video. All that to say, in the course of like 1 week, there has been quite a bit of changes in terms of making homes more affordable, which is obviously what we need here in Toronto. And with the sentiment of the market slowly changing already, this could have a fairly significant impact on the market moving into 2025. Now, do I expect things to heat up overnight because of all these changes? No, I mean, at the time of shooting this, it's December 11th. Usually the real estate market takes a little bit of a back seat when it comes to the holidays, as it should. But I think, going into the new year, I know a lot of people have New Year's resolutions of getting into the market or picking up an investment property, whatever the case may be. And with all these changes, I know, a lot of people are going to feel that pressure of like, okay, I got to beat people to the punch. I got to get there before the rush comes. And I know I've already seen an influx of people reaching out. I know my mortgage broker has seen an influx of people getting their pre-approvals and kind of setting the stage for what could be a busier 2025. Even this article by Atlas Group stated here, the bid-ask gap is slowly closing, and I think we're going to see a steady increase in activity over the next year as reflected in this year's rate decisions. Some of the owners and investors are trying to get into the market a little bit earlier than their competition. So that's kind of exactly what I said, and also already what we're seeing. And I think it's really important to look back at how the real estate market reacted when rates were going up to try to guess on how they're going to react when, rates come down. So for instance, if you remember when rates were going up, everybody was saying that it's going to take 12 to 18 months for these interest rates to be reflected in the real estate market. And sure enough, 12 to 18 months later, we saw a 20% drop in the average sale price of condos, for instance. And we even saw, stagnation with the freehold market. Things slowed down 12 to 18 months later. Well, now they're bringing rates down. And we're going to see that reflect in the real estate prices 12 to 18 months later. So considering that this is already their 5th consecutive decrease on rates, we can expect those rate cuts to show up in the real estate prices, 12 to 18 months later, which really we're already a few months into this. So it could be as soon as a year later. So I think, do we have some time before the market really reacts? I mean, when it comes to the condo market, for the longest time, we had over 6 months of inventory. We have seen inventory tighten up over the last couple months. We went from 6.5 months to about 4.8, 4.9 months of inventory for the condo market downtown Toronto. So things have tightened up a little bit there. The freehold market is still sitting right around 3 months. So a very healthy, market where it's, maybe slightly on the seller side. And again, this is all dependent on what pocket you're looking at, what price point you're looking at. And I think the freehold is actually going to get largely affected due to the new mortgage changes that are coming in the next couple of days, but we'll have a whole nother video for that. But do you have time? Yes, I think you do have time. I wouldn't expect anything to happen crazy soon, but if this is on your list of things to do, I would say start getting ready. Start, educating yourself on your numbers, getting your documents ready, talking to your mortgage professional, talking to your real estate agent, and keeping an eye on what is out there, what you want. So then that way, you're ready. And when you feel the time is right to jump into the market, you've already done the homework and you're not trying to play catch up. Because if things do start to heat up in, say, mid 2025 or later on in 2025, I know I would personally want to be in a spot where I could take advantage of it. And I actually have some pretty exciting news. Hopefully, I don't want to get too ahead of myself because it's still conditional. I did personally just pick up a property, which I will actually walk you guys through once it goes firm. But just so you guys know that I'm not just sitting here trying to sell you real estate and saying now is a great time to buy. I'm actually getting myself into another investment property here in the city. So I'll break all that down once it goes firm because we got to make sure that we push this deal through before we start talking about things. But just to give you a little bit of insight as to how I'm seeing the market and my take on things. So I hope that helps give you guys an idea of what's going on a really surface level. Like I said, if you want to have a more in-depth conversation about your specific plans and you want to connect with me, first link down in the description below. Like I said, I've got another video coming out about the new mortgage changes that are going to be taking effect January 15th. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you don't have your notifications on, make sure you do that. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.